Welcome everyone and welcome back to the All Things Teen podcast. We're here with Akintunde Idau and Elizabeth Idau. We are here to talk about a very important topic. Akin, would you like to tell everyone the topic for this week?
Guys, incredible introduction. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Obviously, we're starting with dealing with the hearts, and as the conversation continues, hopefully we can get to the law of relationships as well. So I was kind of learning about the law that guides relationships and stuff like that. But before then, it's very important that we consider how to deal with hearts. So every single one of us, there's a presumption here that we have all experienced hurts, right? It could be someone betraying you, maybe like telling your secrets to the other people who you never shared with. As a matter of fact, like a secret, anything you want to be a secret, don't tell anybody.
That's true.
Yeah, because once another hears it, it's no longer a secret. So. But it's also very difficult not to tell people, because like something inside your stomach is just like, I just need to tell someone.
Yeah. Like it could even be like the excitement of it.
Yeah.
I need to tell someone. Yeah. Or like, no, this is burdening me too much. Exactly. I need to tell someone.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but every single one of us, one way or the other, and some odds they are like almost like generational, like parents pass it down to their children. Ancestors that pass it down to parents and stuff like that. So it keeps going like that. For example, maybe some people hate or detest certain families because of what they've done to them in the past. For example, if someone maybe has collected your property, like they took your property wrongfully from you and they claim that it's theirs, and because of that, you're also aware of that historical context. So whenever you see this new generation or whoever, like you're reminded of the pain.
Yeah. It actually reminds me of like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
With the Capulets and the Montagues and how they've always just hated each other.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's actually a good book. Like, and I think Romeo and Juliet were like symbols of love that like even when there's like very, very strong enmity between families, through like people who genuinely love one another, we can have sincerity and come back together again.
Can break that hate,
yeah. But how do people, let's even start, what makes it, like what defines hurt? How do people get hurt?
I feel like it's just like the feeling of just pain in you. Like a lot of hurt is internal. Like emotional hurt, emotional pain that you feel. And when someone hurts you, you kind of feel taken aback. Like, I don't think I could have ever felt this pain or this hurt in me from somebody else. Yeah. And
do you think it's also, it has something to do with expectations?
Yeah, because some people, you expect them, like for example, you have a best friend, you expect them to keep all your secrets. Yeah. And then they go and tell one person your secret, and it's like you're like very confused, but you're also very hurt. Like, I expected you to keep my secret because you're my best friend, you're my closest friend. So when that like expectation is broken, I think it's even worse, like that pain, because someone you trusted so much or you expected to be a certain way has broke that expectation.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're totally right. Like, because obviously, like, it's very difficult not to have expectations with people.
Yeah.
Isn't? Yeah, I don't think there's any relationship with people where there wouldn't be some element of expectation, because expectation comes with, once you start sharing common interests, you start developing trust in people. And with trust comes expectation. So if I start trusting you, I start building up expectations in my mind that like, okay, the fact that like I've entrusted you with some of like my knowledge about my life, I believe that you wouldn't just go out there and tell other people or violate what we share.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I believe expectation is a very strong factor why people feel dejected and while the pain hurts so much. And I strongly believe that like people feel this pain more when there's either love involved or when there's some sort of element of family involved.
Yeah, because the people who are supposed to love you the most
are the ones that hurt you the most.
That hurt you the most, because you're like, I love you, you love me, why would you bring this pain upon me?
Yeah.
Because if it was like my mom or my dad, they wouldn't want to see pain in me, or pain, like they wouldn't want to induce pain to me.
Yeah.
So it really hurts the most when someone you wouldn't expect to actually hurt you hurts
is
you.
now the one hurting you. Yeah. But how do we now deal with issues around hurt? Like when people go through hurt, and I've spoken to a lot of people who have been through like situations where like it has kind of defined, it's almost like a defining moment. Say something happened in the family, and because of that experience, they made a statement or a promise to themselves that like never in my life will I allow this, or never in my life will I take this stuff that happened into my life anymore. So if I'll give you an example. Like say for example you're writing an exam and you shared your like materials, like these are materials that you prepared over your reading and studying period, and then you shared it with your friend just so that they could also be prepped up for the exam. And at the end of the preparation period, you expected them to return it to you, but then they took it away and never returned it, until after the exams. And so you never actually had the opportunity to revise and do a lot of like just check your notes back and all that. Yeah, especially since they promised they were going to return it after just a few days, and they never did that. So when that happens, it's very possible that the person who gave out the notes can then say to themselves, never again am I going to give my notes to anybody. Is that a valid way to draw conclusions?
I don't think it is, because like people are different. Like that person who took your notes might just be a very malicious somebody. Whereas if I was to give my notes to somebody else, they'll be like, they'll take care of it, make sure they're not the paper isn't crinkled. They'll give it even back in better condition. Like, so I think you can't really draw that conclusion for one person, because you can't really judge everybody based on that one person.
No, I totally understand what you're saying, and I think it's fair to say that, because obviously, like, it's an emotional decision. It's on the spur of the moment. You feel hurt, you feel pained, you feel that like someone betrayed you, right? You trusted them with something, and then they took advantage of you, and so you're just like, no. So out of that pain, when you make a decision out of pain, more often than not, they are not good decisions. Yeah. Because
it's relying on your emotions and not relying on actual fact and actual knowledge. And with our emotions, like we can be happy one day and then the next time we're so sad or angry. Like it's so fickle. Our emotions.
Obviously, you and I have both read the Bible, where the Bible talks about forgiveness. And one of the things I see in our world today is like something called tit for tat. Or
never
revenge.
heard of that.
Oh, really?
Tit for tat, I never heard of that.
So tit for tat is like, if you do me this way, I'm going to do it to you another way. Like, it's more of a revenge, terminology. So it's like a tit for tat, that sort of. Tit for tat. Well, basically, like, when you think about how the world operates, and there are a lot of movies there where people go through certain situations in life and someone offends them, right? It's the system of the world, or at least what we're generally accustomed to, is that like if someone hurts you or they offend you, it's better you just do it back to them, or look for an opportunity to pay them back so that they can also feel the same pain.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like it hurts you more in the end, because when
Does it?
I feel like it. Like, you feel a sense of achievement, or like you've done something, but it's
like payback time.
Yeah.
And then you paid it back,
Yeah, but I feel like you're just hurting yourself more, I feel, by like, you feel that emotional distress or that emotional waste. And then you think it's the revenge is going to relieve that, but it's just still there.
You're right. And you know, within the context of relationships now, like when I still remember, like, there are some stories I've read where maybe you get into a relationship with a guy during high school or like college or something like that. And then the guy, for example, for people who have engaged in like, you know, sexual stuff, and for a woman that is considered something of very, you know, utmost importance, like your virginity, and a guy taking it from you, you know. So when a guy does that to a lady and then abandons the lady, or like chases after another woman and eventually marries that woman, some of the stories I'm familiar with, the women are always hoping that the guy is going to, things are not going to work for him in life, right? Go straight off. And it's so funny that like the contrary is the case. It's like the guy keeps flourishing. You know, he has his beautiful family and he has children and everything is just working out fine. You know.
I feel like a lot of, maybe not nowadays, but like back then they would be like hoping, no, he's gonna see the faults in that woman and then he's gonna be running back to me. Which is not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
It's the premium heartbreakers.
Yeah, but I feel like he's going to. I was going to say he's going to regret it, but he's probably not, because he's living the lavish life, the life he wants to live.
Because at the end of the day, like when you hurt people, sometimes you hurt people out of ignorance. People hurt other people out of ignorance sometimes. Like they don't know that what they're doing is wrong or is causing harm to another person. And if it's done innocently and they keep living life that way, maybe eventually sometime later they realize and they're like, okay, they learn better. It doesn't mean that, like, you know, whatever they've done in the past is going to impact them. If you get what I mean, like, because they've learned better, so they handle situations in a better way, you know, at another different phase of their life. So it would just be so wrong to be hoping that like something evil happens to you. You know, people who have hurt you. It just doesn't work that way.
Even sometimes something bad does actually happen, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh,
they got the reward for."
But like, I feel like in people's hearts, like they don't actually want to be that like mean or that malice. Really? I feel like some people don't actually want to, but like they feel like their feelings are like, yes, I need to get that revenge. But then like when the revenge happens, or they see that person again, like later on, they're like, actually, like I don't feel like that revenge would have actually fulfilled me. Like it would just make the situation between us worse or something like that.
But why do you think we seek revenge as human beings?
I think we want control over like certain things. Like for the example of the guy leaving the girl. If the girl gets revenge, it's like she wants control over that situation, or the last hurrah, or the last say over it.
The person that has the last laugh.
Yeah, the last laugh of it, because that person who hurt them, like them hurting the other person means that they got the last laugh.
They got one over you.
They have one over you.
Well, that makes sense. And revenge, like it's so difficult, honestly. Like, cause do you think? Let me just ask this: do you think that like when people take acts of revenge, do you think it's from a place of a lack of love?
That's a deep question. I don't think they actually look at that place of love. Like they just think of, I just need to do this to avenge or get revenge for what that person have done. Like, they don't really see the loving that person part because it's like blinded by revenge. And like, I need to do something horrible to that person because they done something horrible to me. So I don't think it like the place of love actually comes into their mind or comes into like consideration when they're thinking like, or when they're hurt and thinking, what should I do next? If you get me.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Do you think having... Okay, let me ask this random question.
Okay.
What's the worst thing anybody has ever done to you that's caused you the deepest pain? And only if you're willing to share. If you don't want to share, it's also fine.
I don't know, to be honest. Like, I've had like people pain me, like cause me pain, but I don't think it has been like that deep that I like remember it. Like, it's the staple moment of my life. So but I think most of my like a lot of my deep pain has been like come from my parents and them like looking at me, like looking down at me, or not trusting me, or not like actually having confidence in me. Because they'll be like, oh, do this. And I'm like, okay, I'll do this. But then they come back. Or like, for example, my mom, she kind of expects me to clean the house. Like, even in primary school, she expected me to come home. First thing I do, clean the house from top to bottom. And then she'll come home and the house, like one section of the house wouldn't be clean. Or and like, I didn't have time to do it because I have work, I have homework to do. And she'll just shout at me. Even if sometimes my brother, my sister, actually no, not her, but my brother is at home, he does nothing. Like, literally, I'm the one, the youngest as well.
As the person who gets the brunt of
and I get the beating. I get like the shouting. And like, I think that for a good while hurt me because I'm like, what do you expect of me? I try my best, and then there it is, my brother doing nothing, just sitting there in his room, and he gets no shouting. But I feel like it's different now.
Okay.
And I think
what's different about it?
I think she heard me. Like all my I forgot the word. All my
grief. Is that it?
All my like retaliation, I don't know. All my like speaking like this isn't fair, this isn't fair. She like heard me. And like finally she was like, okay. Like something clicked, I think. And she was like, okay, if the house isn't clean, it's not your fault primarily.
it's our fault.
It's everybody in the house's fault.
Okay.
So
no, that's a good example, really. Especially because it relates to family. And like I think I have a few experiences like that growing up. Obviously, like in my case, I think my parents were like, they were very intentional about like every single one of us. We had like responsibilities within the home. Like there would be some people who would tend to cooking, some people would tend to cleaning of the house, some other people would tend to like helping out in other areas and stuff like that. But I definitely know for sure, you know, like the timing is always an important factor, because I know, like my younger brother, if you tell him to do something like now, he doesn't do it now. He does it when he wants to do it, you know, and that might not work for everybody. So like that obviously like causes conflict. But I think one of the things that is really bothersome is how can people move from a place of constantly thinking about revenge when they are hurt, to a place where when they are hurt, they can respond in love. That's so difficult.
That's hard. Yeah. I think you just have to be very in tune with your emotions.
Really?
I think so. Like, you need to be in tune with yourself and like, okay, this person hurt me, but how am I going to take it? Because like your actions, you are in control of your actions. So it's like just coming from a place of love, like just knowing beforehand, I love everyone. I love the people around me. Yeah. I don't want to cause harm to them. Yeah. And then if that someone causes harm to you and you're very deeply hurt by it, it's like, actually, I'm going to stop. I'm going to act from a place of love. Yeah. and I'm gonna fight myself on that and ask from a place of love, because I love this person. Like, I see this person, like, even before they even done something to me, I would show love. Like, I love that person. And just being like, okay, I'm gonna just forgive and forget, because I feel like it's very hard to do, but it's the best thing to do. Just forgive and forget, or even just like go to that person and be like, you really hurt me. And like, talking, I feel like, is better than revenge. Like, talking, because sometimes, like you were saying, people do it out of arrogance, like they don't even know they hurt you. And just talking about it and being like, okay, I'm gonna put down my own self, and I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna love this person, I'm gonna talk to them, and I'm gonna hash it out. So
I like, you've said something very important there, but there's a key word you made mention, a sense of self, self. And like, from my understanding and my perspective, I see it as when people get hurt, and it's, see, at the end of everything, like, our characters, right, it comes from words is driving each and every one of us. Like, if the kind of culture, and one of the laws, that we're going to discuss today is actually family, right? Family is a key part of developing relationships. So your first exposure to life, to your identity, to the sense of purpose you're going to have is going to be from your family. How are people treating one another within the family? How do you guys respect one another? How do you speak to one another? What is your belief system within the family? What are the values that you guys live by? And so, if a person's lifestyle has sort of been defined in some sense by the kind of understanding or the way they grew up, then it kind of impacts on how they're also going to treat other people. And I don't think it's a very easy thing to forgive people by your own self.
I feel like it's like how I was saying, it's like a sense of self, like just knowing yourself and like spending that time to get to know yourself.
Even when you know yourself, like, sorry for cutting you up there, but like, do you know, like, I don't know if I've seen this before, but I definitely know I've seen some movies where you would see family members, and okay, I'll give you an example. Have you heard of stories where a husband killed the wife? Or a wife killed the husband? Do you think they don't love each other?
Ooh, that's a sticky one. I don't know. Like, I think they did at one point, and then it just like hate just overcome that relationship.
Yeah, but hate itself, it's not. Like, I see it as a spirit. Like, it's something that takes over you with time, right? So, like, if you see two people, I've also seen, and this particularly, I've even read it on the news several times, and it's real, not fictional. You would have a boyfriend who is going to strangle a girlfriend or kill a girlfriend. Like, these are people who are genuinely in love, or so-called love. Do you get what I mean? But the question now you can ask yourself is that, like, how did we get here to a place where this person offended me and I can't even forgive them, but rather it got so deep into me that all I was thinking was how to hurt them or how to get the best or get the worst of them, because
it's a horrible
thing. So that's why I'm saying that, like, it's very difficult for you to say that you can forgive people by yourself. Like, as individuals, all we want is to protect ourselves. We want ownership. You see, people are always, like, in our world, everything is all about me, myself, what is best for me, what is best for myself, what is best for my family. Not really about, like, oh, so what is good for you? Like, what do you want? How can I help you? Do you get what I mean? And even, like, you see in a lot of, like, relationships today, in today's world, the question people always ask is, like, what do I get to benefit from this relationship? Or how does this add value to me?
It's not like the other person. Like, how can I add value to the other person?
Do you get what I mean? Like, because the real question should be, oh, so what am I bringing to this table to really contribute value to this person.
Yeah.
And although it's a good thing to receive love or to receive value, but like it's not something you should expect from another person. Because then what then happens is that like when you don't get it, you get hurt. And that hurt can lead to like, you know, multiple of stuff, arguments, and from arguments, hatred and stuff like that. So I believe is a very, very crucial. First of all, I believe that like people really need to understand what love is. You know, love itself it's a principle.
Yeah, I think like even some people like blur what love actually means. Yeah. Like they might say, I don't know, like loving you is, I don't know, doing something wrong, or I don't know an example, but I know like sometimes we kind of blur what love actually is, and we don't actually know the full-on proper definition of it.
Love, for a lot of people, love is an emotional, it's an emotion, right? Like
yes.
It's like
Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
Sorry. Okay, so something just came to me. It's like how you're saying people find love as an emotion, but one thing I've learned is love is sacrifice and consistency. Like you need to be able to like sacrifice something or even yourself for somebody else to truly love them, and consistency as well. Like if somebody like hurts you or does something bad, will you still be with them in that? And that's one thing God has taught me. I just wanted to say that.
No, that's really good. Consistency and sacrifice. Yeah, that's love. So it's not really how we feel.
Yeah, because like even in like the media or movies, the depiction of love is like, oh, I've fallen in love with you. It's like, oh,
Prince Charming, or Barbie. It's usually, oh my God, like, oh, I have butterflies in my. But in the actual world, like love is not butterflies. You will feel it sometimes. There are times when you would not even feel it. Like the butterflies might even be dead. You know. But it's true. Like there are sometimes where there might not be butterflies or they're already dead. You know. So, but yet it's still, you know, because once we get the understanding of what love is, then we can easily relate to people, you know, the right way, and we lower our expectations, and we know what we can trust people for and what we can also trust God for. Do you get what I mean? Like, just like you said, that love is sacrifice and consistency. I would also add to it that like love is primarily a decision. Yeah, it's you make a decision to love someone and you have to stick with it. Like, because there are times when they are not even lovable. Like they don't look like people you should be able to love. Their actions, the words they say, you know, the way they act, you know, it's just so terrible sometimes. And then you're just like, oh, no, I can't do this. Like to your flesh, like to your emotions. Your emotion feels like it doesn't feel great at that time. So like you're just like, no, I can't take this. I cannot take this anymore. Like, but love is a decision. It means that like even when things are good, like you still stick by, and when things are bad, you know, you still stick by. But the question is, if you choose to, because love is saying look after the interest of the other person. At what point do you stop looking after another person's interest and consider your own interest first?
That's a really deep question, which I'm going to ask you about. I don't know. Like, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I've had to think that deeply, you know?
Yeah, because there are times when, you know, like, there'll be moments in life where, and I think, like, perfect examples to use are always marriages, right? Because you know, these are people who are living together. You know, so like there are times when, for example, like you are in the marriage with someone, then you're loving them consistently, you know, showing them, you know, your genuine affection and everything like that. I think I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? What was I talking about?
About marriage and when do you consider your interest
Okay,
and not their interest?
So, for example, like if a person is in an abusive marriage, and obviously, like you're thinking, because if you're looking after the interest of the other person, if this person comes today, right, and they were hungry, you guys have like an argument and they were hungry and then they slapped you. Now, love from this understanding that we've been talking about that person could now take it from the angle and say, well, say the guy that slapped the lady comes and said, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it, it was a mistake, I was just very angry and stuff like that. The lady might just now be like, oh, yeah, he was very angry, I think I also like provoked him, and so that's why he did it, and he's sorry, so it's okay, we'll just move on. But at what point do you now say, no, like I can't suffer in silence, so I can't cope with this, and you put yourself first before another person? Do you get the example of what I'm saying? Because a lot of time we've seen scenarios like this, where people, especially people who go to church or read the Bible, and they, out of endurance and patience and looking out for the best of the other person and waiting that okay, they'll be treated right, they've lost their life in the process, of those marital abuse. So at what point can we then say that these people should put themselves first?
I think at the very start, I say or I don't know, because with abuse, it's if the person doesn't truly want to change, they will never change. And I feel like the other person has hope.
Yeah.
But this person is not actually showing them that they will actually change. Because I feel like with anger just it just flashes over you. Yeah. And any kind of rational thought is gone. You're just acting in emotion. Yeah. But if that person doesn't actually want to change, truly deeply want to change and actually work on that anger issues, you need to start looking at out for yourself. And I feel as well with even anger issues and abuse, if the person doesn't I don't know, I'm guessing here, but if the person doesn't actually go to you and say I need help, and actually is vulnerable, and is I suffer with this, and commit and confesses that, I feel you're just lost if you don't actually fend for yourself and look for yourself.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
In fact, I would go as far as saying that once a person shows any element of abuse, remove yourself from that situation. And if you're married, for example, I'm not saying divorce the person, but I'm saying take a step back don't live in that house, with the person who is abusing you. You just totally remove yourself from that situation, because what happens is that because oftentimes when people abuse people or people get angry and stuff like that, it's also emotions, right? And uncontrolled emotions. Because every single one of us, we have the tendencies to get angry, and we can actually break another person's head if we want to. You can decide to break, when you're hungry, to break my head if you want
all
to.
Rational thoughts are gone.
Do you get what I mean? But because there's some level of control and some level of boundaries that you have effected in your life, so even when you're hungry, you still stay within the bounds. There are just certain things I cannot do. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and you don't set boundaries during abuse. You make sure boundaries are already set, before the marriage, commences. Yeah. And once you see any boundaries being violated, and that includes physical, altercation, you have to remove yourself from that situation. And that person needs to get help, So it's not your duty to ensure that they are all right. They need to be all right by themselves by seeking help. Because once you tolerate it and they come and they say sorry, it's gonna repeat itself again. So there's no room for violence, there's no room for abuse. And it's also why we're also saying that the fact that we're talking about love and forgiveness, it does not endorse the committal of abuses towards people. And speaking of love and forgiveness, there, I believe one of the things that also kill relationships is ascribing the responsibilities and expectations that should belong to God and giving it to people. Like a lot of times we expect our partner to be this and to be that to us. And those expectations, they are just only things that a supreme being can meet.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you expect them to know when you're sad and to, you know,
to take care of
you get to offer you words of affirmation and to take care of you. But in actual fact, like they themselves, they don't even know. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And you keep putting pressure on the relationship, and at the end of the day, it's just gonna, because they'll just be like, I don't know what you expect me to do. I can't meet all these expectations that you're asking from me. You want me to tell you you're handsome? You want me to do, because all of these things are things that, like, once you already have your identity correctly set from the foundation, you wouldn't need, affirmation validation from another person. But once there's some sort of brokenness within our identity, then there's always a need for all of those things from people. And when two people get married and there's one person who their sense of identity is sort of broken, they would be expecting a whole lot more from their other partner that they can't meet.
Yeah, I feel like even like when you're dating someone, or like when someone asks you like, what do you expect in like a man or a woman? Some people's expectation is like off the roof, like sky high.
It's just
and
so
I'm like,
difficult.
There's no human being like that. Like we are all human beings. That means we're all flawed. We're not perfect. So when you're asking for somebody else who is flawed to be like set perfect, it's a lot of pressure to them.
You're even setting up for failure.
Yeah, you're setting up for failure as well. So I think in relationships, we should just like go into it knowing our identity, of course, but knowing that the other person is not perfect, is a human being.
And they're bound to fail.
Yeah. And just having like, even what we're talking about, having that forgiveness and being like, seeing them as a human being, seeing them as kind of like yourself, like yourself, you fail sometimes, you don't do the things you're supposed to do sometimes. And seeing them like kind of that way, like, okay, I have grace for them because me, myself, I'm not set up to all these expectations either.
No, I totally agree. And I think that's a really good one, like perception of people. Like when we perceive people, we shouldn't perceive them as perfect people, because once we perceive people as perfect, because a lot of times when we meet people, they put their best foot forward. I mean, if I'm coming to meet you, like, I wouldn't leave my hair scattered because I want you to see me looking good. Yeah,
first impressions.
Do you get what I mean? And that's the image you're going to have of me. But behind the scenes, there are a lot of things that I am that you haven't seen. And so if you build your expectations based on the things that you have only seen, and you're just like, oh, well, they are this, they are that, and I expect this and that based on what I've seen, then you're setting yourself up for failure. And I would almost not be able to like meet it. Like ladies, for example, use wig, and a lot of guys that see like these ladies, they actually think that like that's how they look naturally. Do you get what I mean? So until when they now get married or they start living together, they're like, oh my god, I didn't know. Oh my god, I've seen I also a skit where a guy, the lady was always wearing like the human hair and stuff like that, and then they got married and the lady took off. Before the guy's presence, the guy was shocked. He was shaking. He was shaking because like the lady they just got back from the wedding thing. Like, so she just took it off, and the guy was shaking. Was like, oh my god, and I was like, I'm like, so in my head I'm like, surely this is not like this is like you should know that, like Yeah, but do you think women wearing wig is a sort of deception for guys?
No. No. I feel like if you're like in a relationship, and she started wearing wigs or something, or she was just wearing wigs, she should tell you like, oh yeah, this is a wig, like this is not my natural hair, and be honest about it. I think that's
very important, because a lot of guys go into relationships thinking this is what I see is what I get, but in actual fact, no. What you see a lot of times is just it's an enhanced version
They're
of what
best
you get, you know. So yeah, ladies, once in a while when you're in a relationship, try to take off your wigs and show the guy your true self. Like a lot of people use makeup, for example, like and their faces are always on fleek and stuff like that. That's not where you are in reality, you know. Like so once in a while, go out without makeup and let us see your
natural beauty.
Yeah, so that we can know what we're working with. Yeah, because I mean, like in law, for example, like there's been a lot of cases like that, and they call it mistaken identity or misrepresentation. Yeah. So like some guys have brought cases before court, and they're like, what they actually thought they were marrying is who they thought they were marrying is not who they got married to. You know, so like all of those cases like that, I think is also very important. And there was something I was going to ask earlier, which was I was going to talk about self-forgiveness as well. Before you can forgive another person, or before you can get rid of a spirit of revenge, you also must learn to cultivate the attitude of forgiving yourself. You know, and a lot of times it comes with understanding that like you yourself, you are imperfect. Right? Understanding that the only person who can genuinely show it 100% love is God. And when you receive that love and know that, okay, well, even in my imperfectness, He actually loves me that way, then when you come in contact with other people, you can, you know, share the same love or exchange the same love with those people as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel like self-forgiveness is like so important.
It's so important.
Because if you can't forgive yourself, it's always going to be there. Like there's always going to be a heavy weight on you. Yeah. And just being able to forgive yourself and like just letting it go, like releasing that expectation you have on yourself. Because I feel like a lot of us, we have expectations that we need to be like this, that, and this. But sometimes we fall. Sometimes we are not that perfect. Yeah. And we are building, like it's a process. It's not like we're not on the process to get to perfection like tomorrow. We're on like the journey to perfection or on the journey, and just being able to say, okay, I forgive myself for this, and I can move on after it.
You're totally right. And I think we've spoken a lot, you know, and discussed a lot. So we are probably already exceeding time. So I think it would just be a very good place to end this podcast by saying that, like, if you have not embraced what is called self-love, right, you need to embrace it. And that also, first of all, stems from you actually accepting, you know, the love that, first of all, God has made available. Because, like, according to my Bible, it says that, like, you know, while we were yet sinners, you know, Christ died for us. And then he also talked about how, like, you know, that, like, God so loved the world and He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him will not perish but have eternal life. So God Himself is love. And I believe we need to crucially understand that, like, once we understand that, like, well, I'm not love myself, God is the one that is love. So then the moment I receive the love that has been released to me, which is a love that is only perfect on God's part but is imperfect on my part, because we're human beings, we are prone to fall, we are prone to make mistakes. So once we understand that, any single time we make mistakes ourselves, right, we should forgive ourselves. Right? You can't get rid of expectations. Expectations are part of the goals in life. You know, when you set goals for yourself and you come short, forgive yourself. And also, when we're relating with other people, right, we must understand that no one is perfect. Right, and we must hold grace for other people to make mistakes. Now, obviously, we talked about boundaries, knowing where to draw the grace you're holding for people. So if people are becoming abusive, if anything is going to impact upon your life negatively, like if it's going to cause you harm, you know, you have to draw the line then. Do you get what I mean? But anything other than that, you can actually extend grace to other people, you know, forgive their you know, mistakes, forgive all the errors they've made, and just, you know, try to move on with life. And I also think it's very crucial to pray as well. Like when you're hurting, like praying is one of the ways I deal with like a lot of the like just talking to God about it, and just like sincerely just saying how you feel and what people have done to you and how you just feel about it. Like church, for example, a lot of people have been hurt by church.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people.
Yeah.
I even remember like a story in Ireland as well, like what happened in Ireland where like the priests, they are entrusted with certain responsibilities, and then they kind of, went beyond what was their roles and started like hurting people or like violating people in a wrong way. And, obviously that's a violation of trust to a human being. And it makes it very difficult for you to want to trust, either God or trust church or trust people. But we have to understand that people are not God. They are only trying to represent God, and people could represent God the wrong way. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if every one of us claim to love God, and then we can still go out there and be a representation in the wrong way by hurting other people. So we need to be able to differentiate between God himself and, the actions of people. So when people do certain things and it hurts you, know fully well that this is their human limitations that is coming into play. And so like, and this is also me trying to reach out to people who have gone through that experience in the past in Ireland, where they've been hurt, or even families who have currently undergone some sort of pain and hurt and heartbreak. I'm really praying that like, God can heal your hearts and that you can find, the grace to love again, because it's not the end of the world. A broken trust is not a broken life, so there's still hope once there's life, so just find that place to really like talk to God about it and let him help you heal. And then I think everything will be okay.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you were saying about like when you talk to God and like praying about it.
Yeah.
Like one thing I do is I pray for God's strength because I cannot do it in my own strength. I pray to see people how God sees people. Because God, he sees people, like he knows we're flawed. He knows we're going to mess up. But he has grace. So he like sees people with the lenses of grace. And I just pray that I would see people with the lens of grace as well.
That's so important.
And not to see like, for example, not to see like my mom with like what she has hurt me with, but to see her as a human being who is flawed, who wants to just get through life and who is
trying her best.
Trying her best, and she has so many responsibilities as well. Like there's so many pressures on her, and just to see her that way and be like, okay, maybe I should even me be better and try and help her in whatever way I can. So and
I mean it's so perfect, like what you said there. I think I just want to add something and then we end this podcast and it's that like a lot of times people act based on the level of knowledge that they have. Like you can't do beyond what you know. So if all I've known all my life is hurting people, the best I can give to other people is hurt. Do you get what I mean? So giving grace to people, and even when people are hurting you, like there's a place of genuinely showing people love. And because when you show people love, I've seen people who they've never really experienced what love is, because they've been through hurts and people never perceive them correctly. People have always used them for their own benefits. And so when they go through all of those situations, for them, they've always seen themselves as people who should just be used, So like when they eventually see somebody who genuinely shows them love, I think that can really teach love as well, So it just goes back to what you're saying, that like, giving grace to people, because the level of knowledge we have all received are quite different, and we only act based on what we know. I really hope this podcast, today's conversation, was something that you learned one or two things from, and that it was really enlightening for you. And I really hope that, like, if you have gone through pain, which I think, a number of us have, we find some sort of courage and some sort of, strength to be able to forgive other people and move on. Did you learn one or two things?
I did. That's like a lot of things,
All right. So, guys, ensure you subscribe. And do you know what? Like, we have a WhatsApp channel now. So, like, if you want to really, like, look at all the episodes that we've released, you can always visit our WhatsApp channel. If you just type on like Google Chrome bit.ly/all things STEM podcast or ATTP, bit.ly/ATTP. It's going to link you to the WhatsApp platform, yeah. Actually, I'm going to include that in the link in the description below, so that you have the perfect idea of what they listen. So through that, you can always get updates on WhatsApp, regarding our episodes, without having to join any group or anything like that. You just share on the channel, So thank you guys, for listening. It was really nice. I'm very hungry now. So my strength is abating. So all right, see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.